Best off not knocking it over though. Oh, nearly slipped out of my hand then. It does make me wonder why I haven't tried this in a pumpkin mould. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. Now, a little while ago, I did some pieces with neon colours and I want to continue to do neon colours in this video, albeit in a different way. But I really like neon colours this time of year. I think it brings light when the nights are drawing in and the mornings are getting darker, and I just love it. That and glow in the dark just sets me off this time of the year. I just love them. But I think I've come up with an idea that hopefully will inspire you, because it's really inspired me. It's simple and I think it can be used in a lot of ways. I'm going to start by using hot glue gun on some tea light holder moulds. These are the Let's Resin tea light holder moulds, and everything in this video is Let's Resin. As you may be aware, I'm an ambassador for Let's Resin and they are very kindly sponsoring this video. And I'm going to build up a dam on each of these moulds. Now, hot glue will sink to the bottom. It will spread out. And as I don't want too much spread out, I'm going to build up the dam right the way up the sides of these pieces and across the top in layers. I'm going to let the hot glue cool down and then add another layer. It sticks to itself. It won't harm the silicone. I've used hot glue on silicone moulds before and I know it's safe and won't harm the silicone at all. And what I'm going to try and do is build up a dam in several different ways, and this one I'm using 3 different lines in each of these moulds, and try and make a pretty pattern, if you like, with the hot glue. This is experimental. I've never done this before and I just thought I would try it out. But you definitely want to do small amounts and build it up. Let it cool down, build it up. Like I said, if you just pour it in there, it will all spread out down the bottom and you don't get a dam at all. You just get a blob at the bottom. So I keep layering and layering, and I do change up into black hot glue here so you can actually see, and I can actually see, where the hot glue is going. Because clear on clear, I couldn't really see it. My eyes are not what they used to be. And I didn't think it would come out on the filming very well at all either. So I changed up to the black hot glue, and you can see how layering up the hot glue on these moulds, it is becoming nearer to the top of the moulds. I want this hot glue to be as high as the resin or anything else that I pour in here will be, so it won't go over the dam. That's the plan. And after a while of waiting and letting it cool down and waiting and letting it cool down and doing another layer and another layer, these little tea light holder moulds took the longest because they're the deepest. But I decided to go a little bit more abstract here, and I thought I'd put crack marks on this tray mould. Not as high as the lip of the mould, just across the base. I have no idea at this point if this is going to work, but I've got my dams in place so that they are higher than the lip of the mould, and you can see there I'm showing you they are all higher than the lip of the mould. So theoretically, as long as I don't disrupt the seal on the silicone mould, they should work perfectly as dams. Now, as it's still the Halloween season, I'm going to use some of Let's Resin neon colours in resin casting powder from Let's Resin. This is their magic pour, and I want these pieces to be bright and colourful. I've not used this powder in magic pour before, so I don't know how it's going to come out, But I know that any colour that you put into Magic Pour, because it's so white, it will become less colourful. So I'm putting in quite a lot of powder to get a bright colour. And it will be interesting for me to see if these neon colours from Let's Resin actually do go neon in this Magic Pour. I would imagine you can use them in any eco pour because they're powder. As long as you mix them in with the powder before you mix your additive, i.e. in this case water, I don't see that there would be any problem at all. I've not tried it, but that's what I would expect it to do. So I'm giving each of these colours a good mix. Now I have measured out the powder and the water separately before putting in the colours. I'm not going to add the weight of the colours into the weight of the water, if you see what I mean. The water part is already weighting to one side, and all I've got to do then is to pour it into the colour. Now I made more orange than any other colour because I really like this orange. I think it's absolutely stunning. And as it looks at the moment, it does look really bright and neon orange. And I'm liking that. I really am. Best off not knocking it over though. Oh, nearly slipped out my hand then. It does make me wonder why I haven't tried this in a pumpkin mould. Maybe I should. Or maybe you could. Anyway, going back to what I'm actually doing here, I'm pouring the Magic Pour just in sections of the moulds. As I've got the dams already in place with the hot glue, I can pretty much pour it wherever I want. Now I did come to the tray. The tray here really is a reservoir for what colour I have left. And I had quite a lot of orange left, so I did pour it into the tray. It didn't go up as high as I wanted it to, but I can always add a different colour on the top. Moving on to the green. I had to put green in here. I hate green. You know I don't like green. But it is a very fluorescent colour. And it is that time of year. And I've got to add it in whether I like it or not. So mixing up the green, I'm now going to pour the green into different sections of these moulds. Now I do want to keep two of them just with the Magic Pour on one half. But the others I'm just playing around with. I decided to put green on the other half of this tray, even though the orange wasn't up to the top. I figured I could put a different colour or resin on the back of that and it will bring it up to the top of the mould. I just about had enough green for half of this tea light holder mould and I dripped a bit, but that's fine, that'll wipe off with a cotton bud. But the dams are working really well. They are really working well. There's no leaks at all. So now onto the yellow. Again, like I said, I had the water ready to one side. It was the right amount of water. And there's not quite enough green in there, so I'm just adding a little bit of yellow on the top to fill it up. And I'm going to use yellow in the other side of that one as well. I have yellow left over, so I'm going to add that on top of the green and the orange just to bump up the amount of Magic Pour there is in that mould. Again, it still doesn't quite go to the top, but that's fine. This is a makeup one. It's my leftover pot, if you like. Now, I did have more pieces to fill in, so I decided to make some more yellow. The yellow is a stunning bright colour. I like it just as much as I do the orange, to be honest. So I made up some more yellow with a load more of neon yellow colour. And I am really hoping at this point that they will stay neon and don't dull down too much with the white from the Magic Pour. So I used the neon yellow in 1/3 of this tray that has the 3 compartments. And I figured, you know what? I think it needs purple as well. So I got the purple neon out. Any excuse for me to use purple. Honestly, I love purple. Should have got that out originally before the green, but you know, I'm trying to be inclusive of green this time of year. Once I've mixed in all the purple into the powder, I think it's not quite purple enough for me, so I do end up putting a bit more purple in there. I do want purple, and the darker the better. I can't see that this powder is going to make any difference to the consistency of the Magic Pour at all. You can add, I think it's 12% weight into the powder. Again, I have my water to one side already measured out, and I give it a good mix for about a minute. Once I've mixed my purple, I pour it into the third section. I do actually pour too much into that section and I have to sand it back, but that's a spoiler. And I have one little tray with nothing in it, so that is going to be completely purple. That doesn't have any dams, that just has a thin layer of hot glue across the top in a crack kind of formation. So after hanging around for about an hour, I decided to demold. You don't need to leave them that long, but I poured them all different times and I just thought I'll leave them. As you can see, when you take out the hot glue, there is no detrimental effect to the silicone mould, and it comes away from the magic pour really easily, leaving an amazing detailed recess. It's hard for me to describe, but with this one, I tried not to take it out of the mould and just remove the hot glue. I tipped out a few of the crumbs, and the line that is left is really detailed and very unique. With the double pieces, I did take them out of the mould completely. I need to get the hot glue out from the middle of these pieces, and they just split apart really quite easily. Hot glue comes out and I'm left with really lovely indentations from that hot glue. Now this does open up quite a lot of ideas for me. Can you imagine a slither down the side of a vase mould of hot glue? Now obviously you won't be able to do hot glue slither, but you could make a bobbly hot glue piece and then hot glue it into the vase mould. At the moment, my mind is going on overtime, thinking of all the things I could use this hot glue with. I actually started it back with a skull, where I used it to make brains, if you like. And I'll link that video in the top right hand corner if you haven't seen it. Go check it out. It's definitely an eye-opener for me. But I like the fact that you can put any detail of hot glue in a silicone mould and come out with little pieces that all fit together, but don't they have like the crack between them. Now I didn't put that orange one back in the right place, and I realised that the purple bit doesn't go in there, it goes in the other side, so I had to move it around. Now you might be thinking, well, you've destroyed the seal, Wendy. Any resin that you put in there was going to make a line. With resin on resin, yes, you need the seal in the mould to stop the new resin going underneath the previous resin. But with magic pour, the resin sinks into the magic pour and sticks to it. With the bits and pieces tray, I not only have the dam, but I also have the crack lines as well in multicoloured pieces. Green and yellow and orange and yellow, they all go together well, so I'm happy with the colours, even though it was just a leftover piece. So I'm putting all these pieces back into the moulds. Now we haven't got to the purple one yet. The purple one has no dams, it just has the crack marks. And as I had the purple and the mould sitting there waiting, I thought I might as well do it. Again, it's interesting to me to see how these pieces come out, because this is all experimental to me. I don't know if anyone else has done this, but I haven't seen it myself. If you have, let me know. And I haven't mentioned this so far, but oh my goodness, those colours are gorgeous. So now I'm going to use Let's Resin casting resin. It is my go-to resin. A link for the resin and a 10% discount code will be in the description box below. I'm also still in the process of trying out the Let's Resin cordless AI mixer. It's beautiful blue, and I'll give a more detailed review on this mixer in a while once I've been using it for some time, so I have a good idea of what it's like. Once it's come from the mixer, you still have to scrape the sides and the bottom, because the mixer, any mixer, doesn't get to those areas. And I'm going to put this resin into my Let's Resin bubble removing machine. Again, if you haven't seen that video, you can check out the link in the top right hand corner when I did a review on this machine. Now I'm just going to pour the clear resin, no colour, into these pieces. I want to be able to see inside these pieces so that you get the full effect of the pattern of the dam where the magic pour stopped and the dam began, if you catch my drift. I don't know what's happening with my vocabulary today. It's not working. Anyway, with the pieces that are two together, the yellow and the green, it may have quite severe air pockets in there. So I poured a little bit of resin and I moved it around to try and get any stuck air out. Now I am going to put these pieces into my pressure pot because I want the resin to go into those areas. I know not everyone has a pressure pot, but when I need it, I will use it. So the following day, this is 24 hours later, I can demold. Now these pieces were just left on my side. They only had one piece of magic pour in them and clear resin. And this one has some dust on the top, which I'm going to have to sand out. But oh my goodness, I absolutely love how this has come out. I do love the fact that you can see all the little ripples and lines from the dam. I think it's gorgeous. And again with the other tea light, the same colour. This was a lot deeper, crystal clear resin and absolutely beautiful. I love this. And again, my mind is thinking, wow, vase. How cool would that be in a vase? You can see the flower stems through one side and colour the other side. Oh, I just think that will look absolutely gorgeous. But the ripples, can you see the ripples of the edge of this piece? I did have a little issue with my pressure pot. For some reason it got wet. Now I think, because I haven't used it for a while, it was the air compressor that has water in it and was pushing water into the tank. So all the pieces that came out of the pressure pot were wet, but it wasn't the resin. The resin cured absolutely fine. Well, the magic pour was already cured. So it must have been my air compressor pushing water into my pressure pot, and I'll check that out. There is a little reservoir at the bottom that I haven't emptied and I really should. But these pieces came out beautifully. You can see where it's all wet. But the resin soaks into the magic pour, the eco pour. It soaks in. It doesn't leave a line. It soaks in. Now you could go around and cover the entire piece in a glossy coat of resin so that it all looks like one. I haven't, because I actually quite like the fact that some parts are dull and some parts are shiny. It just appeals to me. But these pieces are all spotless. Now I did think to myself, well, how am I going to put a cork bottom onto these pieces when there's a clear bit in the middle? You don't want to see the cork through the clear bit. So I decided to show you what I came up with. I've got my sticky back cork and I'm just going around the outside edge of this tray with a knife just so I can make a score mark on the cork part, and I'm also scoring out the parts where the clear resin is. The first thing I'm going to do is cut across the middle and take the clear area out. Then I follow the score mark and cut just a couple of mil inside the score mark, and that should give me a cork that is just within the lines of the base. I don't want it right up to the edge. I like a little bit that isn't covered. So when I'm happy with that piece and that it's not going to show through, then I will stick it to the bottom. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same with the other half. And then you've got cork on the bottom of your piece and you still can see through it. And it does look black here because I'm on a black background, but it's absolutely really 100% see-through. And I like the fact that the resin has seeped into the cracks as well. I think that is really cool. With the green and the yellow one, I did put the cork on the bottom as well. But again, I've left a gap so that you can actually see through the piece as well. I love the way these have come out. I really do. Now, I couldn't put cork on the bottom of the one that has clear on 2/3 of the piece, but I did sand down the bottom and polish it to get rid of the dust that was in there. And that to me is absolutely beautiful. I love that piece. This one is hands down my favourite. I love the shape of the mould and I love the orange colour, and the pattern on the ridges is just beautiful. The piece with 3 again is absolutely gorgeous. I think that purple is beautiful. And the colours are definitely brighter when they're covered in resin. It does make an argument to cover it all in resin, I must say. And then you have the other piece that has no cork base. All these pieces have been waxed. So the magic pour that isn't covered by resin is sealed. It's all been waxed. Now you can use other sealers. I use wax, it's what I have, and I think it works quite well. Now the purple bit with cracks, I really like this, and I did put a cork base on it. And I was thinking about the last time I made a piece from Magic Pour that cracked, the amount of people that told me to highlight the cracks in gold. So with this piece, I did. And I have to admit, I think you're kind of right. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope you've got something out of it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week, happy crafting, and bye for now.